have not revised that part, so I never feel confident to, first I should listen to what the teacher has said and understand and reflect on it myself. मैंने वो नहीं किया है, फिर भी मैं पूछ रही हूँ, तो मुझे हमेशा थोड़ा सा अच्छा नहीं लगता है ask करना. Then मुझे ना sometime, not whenever, before the तुम तो आ रहे हो ना dear माँ?
अच्छा एक इधर मैं पीछे का एक माइक अपने पास रखूँ, एक आगे व्हीलर के पास, ठीक है, बाकी फिर पीछे का हम मैनेज कर लेंगे. अरे किसी को थेपला खाने सेम रोज बने हुए हैं.
Distinguishes is the use of reasoning, right?
Yeah.
बेसिक
लेजर
इतना बड़ा नफा
एक आपसे एक मतलब हुआ नहीं कुछ भी नहीं एकदम परफेक्ट और एकदम प्रॉब्लम जो ये तो कुछ मैंने बचपन में कौन सा करा
अच्छा ये इधर का सीन में
मैं लेके आई
अच्छा अच्छा Okay, can we start? Very few people, so now how many? 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Auspicious number. Okay, we do the prostrations and then prayers. Hands, I beseech the Buddha. Puja, come.
For all with folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to
Shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries. With folded hands,
I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered individuals glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered individuals glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered and mysteries glow.
Oh, sorry.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered and mysteries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered and miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the
light of Dharma for all bewildered and miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions. Dharma for all bewildered and miseries glow. Okay, thank you. Start the puja.
We start by setting a proper motivation which consists of 3 parts. Visualize the refuge field. Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in the space in front of us, looking at us with immense love and kindness. Bodhicitta field. 2 kind parents, mother on the left, father on the right, and all our dear sentient beings together with us. And the purpose of the practice: to manifest the Buddha nature within us, the source of ultimate happiness, by removing the 2 obscurations, afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Gangi thungse nir songne tawa thamche pangpe chir dhampe churni tonze pya gautam dela tsakse lo. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace which is freed of elaborations. Gangi tenchen delwa jung, gapa me pa ke me pa, chepa me pa tak me pa, owa me pa dro me pa, thate donin don chik min, tropa ne shi ten pa, zoppe sange manam ki, dhampa de la tsakse lo. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, sattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subduers expound a variety of teachings. Nanta Shiva Solnam Kunche Niki Neshe Trize Ghaye Dang Drola Pen Parje Nam Namshe Niki Chikten Don Rupze Paka Ganga Yanga Denpe Tuk Nam Nampa Kunden Matsukden Sopa Nilke Jan Tutsempe Sokche Sange Hini Yumdela Tsatselo. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. Sema Gyurpa Drola Penshepa, Konpa Desha Kabla Chatselo. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble life rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Toppe Drawa Nam Serching, Zapching Yeche Kungawa, Kuntu Zampo Ozerdang, Kune Trola Tsatselo. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Sogi Chodang La, Chanjo Pardu Dhagne Kapsuchi, Dhage Jinso Gipe Sopnam Ki, Drola Pencher Sangye Trupar Sho. Sangye Chodang Sogi Chodang La, Chanjo Pardu Dhagne Kapsuchi, Dhage Jinso Gipe Sopnam Ki, Drola Pencher Sangye Trupar Sho. Sangye Chodang Sogi Chodang La, Chanjo Pardu Dhagne Kapsuchi, Dhage Jinso Gipe Sopnam Ki, Drola Pencher Sangye Drupar Sho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavadat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavadat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavadat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha, Shramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite, such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. Sapshi trodel ozel dyumaje, dyutsita mucho shikbuane, sula shekyango arminyope, nima nangi natsumli parja. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unseized and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of Buddhas of the 3 times, I pay obeisance. Masam jome shaira parochin, makhe minga nangai nungani, soso ramre yeshe choyopa, dyusum yelwa yuna tatselo. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. Lama Sanghe Lama Tra, Deshin Lama Gendunte, Kunki Jepo Lama Rient, Lama Namla Tatselo. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. Chona chen po jani, semchen dunyal thagi ching, kyalpa jeva samyesu, chotan zechi suso. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. Thognam dikpa choyi mitrushing, droe donian changi misella, niki tokpa shenla pomente, choni denpa tempe drulvar gyur. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. Chodnam kungi sangela, thelmo jate solvai, semchen dunian munthunla, chogi drome partyuso. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Sidi lashenna chopamin, khorwa lashenna namjumin, randon lashenna jamsemin, zinpa jungna tavamin. Page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Star, visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of false, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 19. Sun illuminating the threefold faith. Praise to the 17 Nalanda masters. Born from great compassion, aspiring to help all beings, God of gods, you have attained the Savior state of abandonment and realization, and you guide beings through the discourse of dependent origination. O able one, the son of speech, I bow my head to you. I implore you at your feet, O Nagarjuna, most skilled in elucidating, suchness free of elaborations, the meaning of sutras, the mother of conquerors, through the profound reasoning of dependent origination. In accord with the conqueror's prophecy, you initiated the middle way, the supreme vehicle. I implore you to your principal son, Bodhisattva Arideva, most learned and realized, who has crossed the ocean of Buddhist and non-Buddhist tenet systems, and is the crown jewel among those who uphold Nagarjuna's treatises. I implore you, O Buddha Palita, who has reached the supreme adept state, and who has clearly elucidated Arya Nagarjuna's intent, the final meaning of dependent origination, the profound point of mere designation and as mere label. I implore you, O Master Bhavaviveka, fully accomplished Pandita, you initiated the philosophical tradition wherein, while negating extremes of truly existing things, arising and so forth, you uphold commonly verified knowledge and external reality. I implore you, O Chandrakirti, who disseminated all the parts of Sutra and Tantra, you are most skilled in teaching the profound and the vast aspects of the middle way, the union of appearance and emptiness, dispelling the two extremes by means of dependent origination that is mere conditionality. I implore you, O Bodhisattva Shantideva, skilled at revealing to the assembly of fortunate spiritual trainees the excellent path of compassion that is greatly wondrous, through a multitude of reasoning most profound and vast. I implore you, O Master Abbot Shantarakshita, who initiated the tradition of the non-dual middle way in accordance with the trainee's mental disposition. You are versed in the reasoning modes of both middle way and logic, and you disseminated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Kamalashila, you who, having explained excellently the stages of meditation of the middle way view, free of elaborations, and the union of tranquility and insight in accordance with Sutra and Tantra, flawlessly elucidated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Sangha, you who, sustained by Maitreya, were versed in disseminating excellently all Mahayana scriptures and taught the vast path, and who, in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, initiated the tradition of mind only. I implore you at your feet, O Master Vasubandhu, you who, while upholding the systems of the 7 Abhidharma treatises, as well as non-duality, illuminated the tenets of Vaibhashika, Sautantrika, and mind only. Foremost among learned ones, you are renowned as the second omniscient one. I implore you at your feet, O Dignaga, the logician, you who, in order to present the Buddha's way through evidence-based reasoning, opened 100-fold gateways of the system of logic and offered as a gift to the world the eyes of critical intelligence. I implore you at your feet, O Dharmakirti, you who, understanding all the essential points of both Buddhist and non-Buddhist epistemology, brought conviction in all the profound and vast parts of Sautantrika and mind only by means of reasoning. You were most versed in teaching the excellent Dharma. I implore you at your feet, O Arya Vimuktisena, you who lit the lamp that illuminates the meaning of the ornament treatise, wherein the themes of the perfection of wisdom, stemming from Asanga and his brother, are expounded in accord with the middle way view, free of existence and non-existence. I implore you, O Master Haribhadra, who were prophesied by the conqueror as expounder of the meaning of the mother, the perfection of wisdom. You elucidated the excellent treatise on the perfection of wisdom, the three mothers, in perfect accord with the instruction of the Savior Maitreya. I implore you at your feet, O Guna Prabha, most excellent in both integrity and scholarship, who, having excellently distilled the intent of 100,000 disciplinary teachings, expounded the individual liberation vows flawlessly according to the tradition of the Sarvastivada school. I implore you at your feet, O Shakya Prabha, supreme upholder of discipline, who reigned over the treasury of the qualities of the three trainings, in order to disseminate the stainless Vinaya teachings for a long time. You excellently expounded the meaning of the vast treatises. I implore you, O Joa Adisha, you who, having taught all the profound and vast traditions related to the words of the Buddha, within the framework of the path of the persons of three capacities, were the most kind master disseminating the Buddha's teaching in the land of snows. Having thus entreated these most learned ornaments of the world, the excellent sources of wondrous and insightful teachings, may I be blessed so that my mind becomes ripened and free, through the entreaty I made with a mind unwavering and pure. By understanding the two truths, the ontological reality, we ascertain how, through the four truths, enter and leave samsara. I will make firm the faith in the three jewels that is born of valid reason. May I be blessed so that the root of the path of liberation is firmly established within me. May I be blessed to perfect the training in renunciation and aspiration for liberation, the total pacification of suffering and its origin, as well as in an uncontrived bodhicitta that is rooted in an infinite compassion that wishes to protect all sentient beings. May I be blessed so that I may easily develop conviction in all the paths pertaining to the profound points of the perfection and Vajra vehicle, by engaging in study, reflection and meditation on the meaning of the treatises of the great trailblazers. May I, in life after life, obtain excellent births that support the three trainings and contribute to the teaching that equals the great trailblazers in upholding and disseminating the teaching of scripture and realization. Through engaging in exposition and meditative practice, may the members of all spiritual communities spend their time in learning, reflection and meditation, shunning wrong livelihood. Through the proliferation of sublime masters, may the great face of the earth be beautified throughout all times. Through the power of this supplication, may I traverse all the paths of Sutra and Tantra and swiftly attain the state of conqueror's omniscience, characterized by spontaneous realization of the true purposes. May I work for the welfare of sentient beings as long as space remains. Page 31, Heart Sutra Mantra. Tayatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhi Swaha. Tayatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhi Swaha. Tayatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhi Swaha. Tayatha Next page, page 32, 8 verses of mind training. With a determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart, respectfully see others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard them still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all the hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may I, recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my 2 collections vast as space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eyes blinded by ignorance. Page 73. 3 principal aspects of the path. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I am able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the conqueror, the path paced by the conqueror's children, the entrance for those who desire liberation. Listen with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of cyclic existence. Strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity, and direct your minds to the path that pleases the Buddha. Without pure renunciation, an end to attraction for the pleasures of cyclic existence is unattainable. The craving for existence also binds beings. Thus, from the outset, seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life by reflecting on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects, and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of cyclic existence, and remain intent on liberation day and night, renunciation is born in you then. Renunciation, if not tempered by a pure mind of bodhicitta, however, does not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, the wise ones generate the excellent mind of bodhicitta. Swept up in the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma, so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the 3 miseries. Thinking of your mothers in this condition, generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes the ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore, strive to understand dependent arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and destroys all focuses of apprehension, has entered the path which pleases the Buddha. Appearances are infallible dependent arising. Emptiness is the understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these 2 are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddha. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. More, appearances refute the extreme of existence. Emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the points of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination, and quickly reach the final goal. We now read from our root text, the verses from Madhyamika Avatar, entering into the middle way. Chapter 6, page 14. We'll read slowly. Introduction. On the close approach, the Bodhisattva abides in an equipoised mind. He approaches the truth of full awakening of the Buddha. So he who has seen the truth of origination through dependence, abiding in wisdom, he shall attain true cessation. Just as an entire group of blind men are easily led to their desired destination by a single person with sight, likewise here too wisdom leads those attributes whose sight is impaired to the state of conquerors. That Nagarjuna has realized the most profound truth has been established in the scriptures as well as through reason. Therefore I shall explain here the standpoint exactly in accord with the way it has been established in his treatises. Even as an ordinary being, when hearing emptiness, one experiences within utter joy again and again. Tears flowing from such pure joy moisten one's eyes and raise the hairs of one's bodily pores. He is the one who has the seed of the wisdom of full awakening. He is the vessel to whom this teaching should be revealed. It is to him that the sublime ultimate truth must be taught, and for him the consequent qualities will come about. Always will he embrace perfect morality and abide by it. He will engage in giving and cultivate compassion. He will practice forbearance and will thoroughly dedicate all these virtues towards the liberation of all beings. He will accord respects to the Bodhisattvas aspiring for full awakening. Such individuals who are wise in the ways of the profound and the vast, progressively they shall attain the level of the thoroughly joyous. So those who wish to seek this level, pray listen to this path. Presentation of selflessness of phenomena, the non-abiding of all things and events. It does not originate from itself. How can it do so from another? Neither does it originate from both. And what exists with no cause? Arising from itself, the first alternative. If it originates from itself, it will have no benefit at all. Moreover, it is illogical for that which has already arisen to arise again. If one conceives what has already arisen to arise once again, the arising of sprouts and so on will never occur in everyday experience, and the seeds will continue to reproduce themselves until the end of existence. In what way then can that sprout ever destroy that seed? There wouldn't be for you any difference between the seed, the generated cause, and the sprout, its effect, with respect to their shape, color, flavor, potency, or ripening. If it's through abandoning the seed's own essence, which was there first, that it assumes a different essence, how could it then possess any reality at all? If, as you assert, the seed and the sprout associated with it are not different, either just like the seed, what is termed the sprout would never be perceived, or since the two would be identical, just like the sprout, the seed too would be perceptible. So this thesis is unacceptable. Because its effect can be seen, even when the cause has disappeared, that the two are identical is something not even the world accepts. So this postulate of a thing arising from itself is untenable both from the perspective of reality and of the world. If one asserts self-arising, the producer and the produced, as well as the act and the agent, should be identical. Since they are obviously not identical, one should not accept self-arising, for it entails all the faults exposed extensively in the fundamental wisdom.
Okay, where did we leave last time?
Page 157.
157,
At the end of the 8 points, we just listed.
point number 8.
We just listed.
Okay. So these are the 8 important points, which are the unique presentation of the Prasanga, page 157. We see that there are 8 points listed. These 8 points, page 157, 8 points listed there, which Lama Tsongkhapa, the author of the commentary, picked up to identify the 8 unique presentations of Prasangika. Let's say the point number 1, let's say, not asserting a mind basis of all, which is a different entity from the 6 collections. So Prasangika does not assert a mind basis of all. Mind basis of all referring to Alivijnana or Alivijnana and the Kunshi. Prasanga does not assert that, which is a different entity from the 6 collections. So from this we get a good picture that this vocabulary, Kunshi or the Alivijnana, and the Prasangika does use sometimes, because it very clearly says that mind based all or Alivijnana, which is different entity from the 6 collections, which means that you can posit a mind based all, which is not different entity from the 6 collections. Say some part of the 6th mental consciousness, the 5 senses and the 6th mental consciousness, at times there can be also referred to as the Kunshi or the Alivijnana. But the Alivijnana, which is specifically accepted by the Chittamatra, is something which is different, entity-wise different from the 6 collections, which means 5 sensory consciousnesses plus the mental consciousness, and then the afflictive, the consciousness, 7, and then the 8, we call it Alivijnana. Okay, so such a consciousness is not what Prasangika accepts. Okay, do you think that this is something unique with Prasangika? Not accepting Alivijnana, which is a different entity from the 6 collections. Is this something unique of Prasangika? Is this not accepted? Is it not? Is it it is also not accepted by? Is it not accepted by Vaibhashikas? Vaibhashikas, do they accept or not? They don't accept this. So this is not something unique of Prasangika. Vaibhashika, and likewise the Savatantric school does not accept it. Likewise, the Svatantra Madhyamik does not accept that. So it is only one part of Chittamatra that accepts such Alivijnana, which is a different entity from the 6 collections. So how can we say that this is a unique presentation of Prasangika? This is one question. Likewise, you could explore each of the points. Number 2, which says not asserting self-cognizers. Again, Rangrig self-cognition. Rangrig is what Prasangika rejects. Prasangika does not accept, but is this something unique of Prasangika, this question? Is this something unique? Rangrig, or the self-cognizant mind, is it accepted by Vaibhashika? No. So therefore it is not unique of Prasangika. So Vaibhashika also does not accept it. And then Southern school, does it accept it? Yes. Chidamatra accepts it. And then Svatandra Madhyamika accepts it. Half. So Svatandrika, the Yogacara Svatandrika Madhyamika accepts it. And then Sautandrika Svatandra Madhyamika does not accept it. So we see that it's not Prasangika, it's not only Prasangika. So it is also rejected by Vaibhashika and the Sautandrika Svatandra Madhyamika. So how can we say that this is something unique of Prasangika? Okay, so this is how we need to explore each point by point. We have to explore whether or not there are something which is uniquely asserted or uniquely rejected by Prasangika. Okay, so to make it very quick, if you go to the first one, say that let us not just be too quick to say that no, this is wrong, it doesn't make any sense. Let us not be too quick. This is what the modern day people, they don't have time. Because they don't have time, they are so quick to say no, this is wrong, Lama-tsongkhapa doesn't make any sense, like this. Okay, so the idea is that these not asserting or rejection of the Alivigyan is not something unique to Prasangika. So what he's saying here, rejection of Alivigyan on the basis of rejecting objective existence. Through rejecting objective existence, then invariably the Alivigyan concept is rejected. So that is something unique of Prasangika. For example, say the Vaibhashikas, how they don't accept the Kunshi or the Alivigyan is because that the teachings of the Buddha, which are explicitly given to the larger audience, to the common audience. So there the Buddha did not teach Alivigyan for the common audience. And because of which, for them, it's not because of some very powerful reasoning that allows them to reject the Alivigyan. It's simply because that in the very common teaching of the Buddha, because it is not taught. So therefore, they don't accept it. As simple as that. And then say likewise Sautandra school. And then the Madhyamik, say Svatandra Madhyamika. So there also, they use reasonings, but the reasonings that they employ is by rejecting true existence, by not touching the objective existence. But whereas Prasangika rejects that through rejecting objective existence or through rejecting the existence from one's own characteristics. So it is through rejecting this objective existence that the Alivigyan is rejected. This is something unique of Prasangika. If you apply this, if you relate this to the remaining and the same points, then we can see the strength and the beauty of this presentation. Okay, so this is what we have to. So let me see if there is something which needs to be explained in greater detail here. Of course, Lama-tsongkhapa they explains each one of them down the line. Okay, we'll read the following. The last paragraph, page 157. The first, which is, if possible, try to have these 8 points on your fingertips. 8 points on your fingertips. The first one, not asserting the mind base of all, which is different entity from the 6 collections. The first, not asserting mind base of all, which is a different entity from the 6 collections, is presented in this chapter. In this chapter, meaning here, precisely in chapter 6. Now, the first topic. The first topic is in detail explained. In this we're going to discuss in great detail on the basis of the root texts, which we're going to explain a little later. The way of touching upon the non-assertion of self-cognizer. Number 2, not asserting self-cognizers. Number 2, the way of touching upon the non-assertion of a self-cognizer, Rangrik, in terms of not asserting inherent existence. Okay, here. So it comes here. The rejecting the self-cognizer, in relation to rejecting the inherent existence, in terms of not asserting inherent existence, will be explained. Again, same. So after rejecting the Alivigyan, then the self-cognizant mind will be rejected in this very text. So this we have to study separately. It will come in the following stanzas. Then number 3, the way of touching upon the non-assertion of autonomous syllogism. Number 3, autonomous syllogism in terms of not asserting inherent existence has already been extensively explained in other texts. Not really texts, other chapters, or chapter and text. Chapter 1 and text. The text is Acharya Chandrakriti's Prasanapada, clear words, and then the author Lama Tsongkhapa, he explained it. He took it from the Prasanapada while explaining the Mula Madhyamika Karika, Lama Tsongkhapa's Mula Madhyamika Karika commentary, Ocean Reasoning. There also you find great detail, and all these discussions stem from Prasanapada. They're rejecting the autonomous syllogism. So that is what came out explicitly. So the idea was that, okay, for this, just to give you later on, once we are more settled with this text, chapter 6, then when necessary we'll go into this part in detail. For the time being, just to give you a little idea as to how the rejection of the autonomous syllogism came into being, was that Acharya Nagarjuna, he said, neither from self, the word of salutation in the opening passage. Nagarjuna in Mula Madhyamika Karika said that neither from the self, nor from another, nor from both, nor costlessly, things are produced from anywhere. So this is how Nagarjuna summarized all this, the Mula Madhyamika Karika, into this one stanza. So this, then the Buddha Palita, Acharya Buddha Palita, he explained it. He wrote a commentary on Mula Madhyamika Karika. So while writing the commentary, of course, he had to explain this stanza. Explaining this stanza, Acharya Buddha Palita, what he did was that he explained it very literally. And the point is that he did it, okay, say the synopsis of the explanation of the rejection of the four modes. And then he went into detailed explanation. Then next comes Acharya Bhavaviveka. Acharya Bhavaviveka, reading Acharya Buddha Palita's commentary, and he was not happy to see that how Acharya Buddha Palita explained or commented or explained Nagarjuna's this stanza. Acharya Bhavaviveka was not too happy. So in his Shirodrime, the Pragya, the Dipa, the light of the wisdom, so there in his commentary, Acharya Bhavaviveka's commentary on Mula Madhyamika Karika. So there he rejected Acharya Buddha Palita. So Nagarjuna, then the Acharya Buddha Palita commented on Nagarjuna's text. And then next comes Acharya Bhavaviveka. He was not happy with Acharya Buddha Palita's version of the interpretation. And then Acharya Bhavaviveka rejected Buddha Palita's interpretation. He rejected in his commentary of Nagarjuna's text. Then came Acharya Chandrakriti. Acharya Chandrakriti came, and Acharya Chandrakriti reading Nagarjuna's text, Acharya Buddha Palita's commentary, Acharya Bhavaviveka's commentary, and he was not happy with Acharya Bhavaviveka's rejection of Acharya Buddha Palita. So he wrote his own commentary, Prasanapada. He wrote his commentary. So there he rejected Acharya Bhaviveka. And as to this, the exchange, not really exchange as such, we call it exchange, but it's not really exchange. In most likelihood, Acharya Chandrakriti and Acharya Buddhapati Bhaviveka, two of them did not really encounter. And somehow we get the clue, or some clue, vague clue, that two of them were like commonly like contemporaries, but I think what Acharya Bhaviveka, first Acharya Bhaviveka, he was, there are several accounts. So one, they may not be all authentic, but this is like the legend that Acharya Bhaviveka, he was from the royal family, and then Acharya Chandrakriti, he was not. So in the olden times, those who are not from the royal, debating with the royal is considered not really healthy. So this is one legend. Don't take it too seriously. This is one legend. Just know that these accounts are there. So which is authentic, which is not authentic, not too sure. Then it is said that Acharya Chandrakriti, he already wrote his rejection, but he did not publish it, made it public. And then after Acharya Bhaviveka's passing away, then it was brought to light. So of course the protocol, the conventions, the respect for the royal family and so forth, so could be the reason. But whatever is the case, there was no direct encounter that Acharya Bhaviveka says something, Acharya Chandrakriti rejected, and Acharya Chandrakriti says something, Acharya Bhaviveka rejected. No such encounter can be seen there. The thing is that what Acharya Bhaviveka rejected, Acharya Buddhapalita, that is very clear in his text, and that Acharya Chandrakriti reading that, he rejected that in his text, Prasanapada. So this is what is so obvious. So beyond that, all the legends can be legends, may not necessarily be true. Okay, so what is the case? The thing is that so this is the background, the historical account of how the Syllogism, the rejecting autonomous syllogism came into being. Now, to be very direct about the autonomous syllogism, what happened was that the Acharya Buddhapalita, when he was interpreting Aranagarjuna's this stanza, he said that there is no self-production, so that is in relation to the rejecting the production of the self. Neither from the self. When interpreting that, there is no self-production because the production of the effect would be meaningless. Production of the effect would be meaningless and would be infinite. So this is how Acharya Buddhapalita interpreted the Aranagarjuna's text, saying that there is no production of the self because the production will be meaningless and the production is infinite. So Acharya Bhaviveka reading this, what does it mean? Production is not at all meaningless. Production has a meaning. So how come that Acharya Buddhapalita said the production is meaningless? And the production is infinite. Production is never infinite. Production is something is produced, finished. So that production is once done, it's not infinite. So how come so Acharya Bhaviveka said that Aranagarjuna rejected the production from the self-production, and the Acharya Buddhapalita, if he has to really comment on this or interpret this, he has to give the reasoning why in what way the production from the self is not permissible, is not possible. How? What reason? Who should come up with the reasons? And he did not come with the reasons. So whereas if we read it, it says that production from self-production is, say, the shoot. The shoot does not have a self-production because the production is meaningless and the production is infinite. So reason is given. But Acharya Bhavya says there is no reason given. Right? There is no reason given. So what he says, and keep in mind that Acharya Buddhapalita, incredibly refined scholar, likewise Acharya Bhavya, incredibly refined scholar. Right? What we see, obviously there's a reason given. Whether the reason is valid or not, this is different, but the reason is given. And how come the Acharya Bhavya, he doesn't see the reason? This is not the point. So when Acharya Bhavya says that there's no reason given, means that there's no valid reason given. Because the reason that you see there is not valid. Okay. And then Acharya Chandragati, when he came and read both the commentaries, Acharya Chandragati noticed that the Acharya Buddhapalita, he commented or he interpreted out of Nagarjuna's one single stanza in two forms. One the synopsis and one the detailed interpretation. Right? So Acharya Bhavya, he rejected the synopsis. In most likelihood, he did not notice that the detailed interpretation was also following the synopsis. So Acharya Chandragati says that he gave Acharya Buddhapalita, he already gave the valid reason, and then he said that for a Madhyamika, autonomous syllogism, autonomous reasoning is not necessary. If somebody accepts the need for an autonomous reasoning, so Acharya Buddhapalita, Acharya Bhavya rejected Acharya Buddhapalita by saying what? You have not given up reasoning. There's no reason given there. There's no reason given there. There's no reason given there. So how we interpret that is, there's no valid reason given there. So Acharya Chandragati said that for the Madhyamikas to believe that the autonomous reason is required to establish a point is not really the Madhyamika's point of view. Madhyamika cannot accept autonomous reasoning. You're getting it? So this is what Acharya Chandragati said. So Acharya Chandragati is giving this as a rejection or a challenge to which point of Acharya Bhavya, this question. So Acharya Bhavya, if you read Acharya Bhavya's text, you see that he rejected Acharya Buddhapalita saying that you have not given the reason. As simple as that. He did not say that you have not given autonomous the syllogism, autonomous reasoning. He did not say that. He said that you did not give up reasoning. And then Acharya Chandragati said that Madhyamikas need not necessarily give up autonomous syllogism or autonomous reason to convince a point to the defendant. Okay, so this is how the debate came. Then the question arises, the autonomous syllogism, because Acharya Chandragati made it explicitly came up with the rejection that the autonomous syllogism is what the Madhyamikas are not supposed to be believing in. If you believe in autonomous syllogism, you are already believing in true existence. If you believe in true existence, you are not Madhyamika. Right? So this is how Acharya Chandragati rejected. So the train of the debates going from, say, Acharya Buddhapalita, Acharya Bhavya, Acharya Chandragati, that we have to know. And then the next question is, what does it mean by autonomous syllogism? This question came into play. Then, say, the next question is, Acharya Bhavya, what he said is that there is no reason given, right? So Acharya Chandragati has to give answer that the reason is not required for Madhyamikas to establish emptiness. This should be what he should be saying, but he said that you believing in the need for autonomous reasoning, autonomous syllogism is not the view of the Madhyamikas, which means that you are not a Madhyamika. The moment you believe in autonomous reasoning, you already accept true existence. You believe in true existence, you are not a Madhyamika. This is the basic background of the debate between amongst three of them, right? Okay, then it comes to slowly all these texts are translated into Tibetan. After having these texts translated, then the Tibetan scholars, they become busy in what is autonomous syllogism, right? Okay, whether or not Prasangika whether or not Prasangika, from the point of view of Prasangika, for to convince your defendant, your opponent, of what your point, does it require for one to produce a syllogism, a valid syllogism, whether or not that's required. If you require that, which means you are not Prasangika. Prasangika means a consequentialist. Simply, instead, there are two things. Say, for example, there are two things how I try to challenge. For example, say I'm challenging you. There are two ways of challenging you. One, by simply pointing to your contradictions. I don't give my view at all. I simply point to your contradictions. Say, for example, you say that, okay, let's say that, okay, Tibet House is in Delhi. And then on the other hand, you say that Tibet House is 2 kilometers from Dharamsala. Right? On the one hand, you say that Tibet House is in Delhi. On the other hand, you say Tibet House is not too far from Dharamsala, it's like 2 hours from Dharamsala. Okay, so then you can say that then the area in Delhi which is closest to Dharamsala is 500 kilometers away, right? So do you mean to say that the Tibet House is outside Delhi? Not inside Delhi, because the place in Delhi which is closest to Dharamsala. I'm not possible. Say you say that Tibet House is in Delhi, and Tibet House is 2 kilometers away from Delhi. No, from Dharamsala. So I do not say that Tibet House is not in Delhi or not 2 kilometers away from the Dharamsala. I'm not giving you any of my views. I'm simply pointing to the contradiction, because what I know Delhi is, I know what is meant by 2 kilometers away, 2 hours from Dharamsala, right, by road. Okay, knowing these two facts, I point to the contradiction within you, and then you have to give up one of the two ideas. Either you have to give up that Tibet is in Delhi, or you have to give up the idea that Tibet is 2 kilometers by road from Dharamsala, right? Tibet is in Delhi, you cannot give up, because this is a fact. So you have to give up the other side. So other side, then you come to realize that, okay, any place which is in Delhi can never be 2 hours by road from Dharamsala, right? So you come to realize that. So this I make you to be convinced of, not through my reasoning. No, Tibet House is not just 2 hours from Delhi, from Dharamsala by road, because it is the 600 kilometers from Dharamsala. So so me trying to give the reasons, I do not give any reasons. I simply picked up the contradiction from you, and then tell you that these are two contradictions. So you choose which to give up, right? And then you give up the wrong, and then you come to the conclusion. Okay, proper conclusion. So from there, people say that for the Prasangikas, those who, okay, this is what people say, right? Some scholars say. So Prasangikas, meaning in English consequentialist, meaning say resorting to the reasoning to look for the internal contradiction of the other side. Internal contradiction of the other side. So this style of reasoning is not your reasoning. It's just bringing the information from the other side. You are not giving any information. So this is known as the working on the what is that? Reductio ad absurdum. Reductio ad absurdum. In Tibetan we call it Telgyur. Okay, simply by working on the reductio ad absurdum, you're able to convince other person, your defendant or your opponent, or the point which you want to convince. Okay, this is one way. So there what happens is that you are not giving any information from your side, right? What you do is that you just pick up the information that the other side provides you and then point to show the internal contradiction. So this is, if you say like this contradicts this point. You will have to face this consequence, right? If you say Dharamsala is just 2 hours or 2 kilometers, or say 2 kilometers from Tibetan House is 2 kilometers from Dharamsala, then you have to accept Tibetan House to be far away from Delhi, because the place within Delhi closest to Dharamsala is 500 kilometers, right? So this is how I'm not giving you any information. I pick up your information. On that basis, then I try to convince the point which I have in my mind. So this is known as the reasoning, the form of reasoning in the form of reductio ad absurdum. Okay. So another one is the other way of convincing the point to the other person is a proper reasoning. What is proper? In what way proper reasoning is different from the reductio ad absurdum? Reductio ad absurdum is the information that you get from the opponents, right? What the opponents accept, you pick up this information, show internal contradiction. For the proper valid reasoning, you give your information. You give the information saying that this is Dharamsala cannot be say 2 kilometers away, because Dharamsala is on a very flat area. The flat area is the one which is the nearest to Dharamsala, which is flat area, is Una, which is about like say the 100 kilometers from Dharamsala, right? So like this, you give your own information. You give for information, reasoning that other person has to think about, learn more, and then work on this, and then realize that one's belief that the Tibetan House is like 2 kilometers from the Dharamsala is wrong. Okay, so there are 2 reasonings. So some scholars, so because of this debate, okay, so particularly, okay, if you understand this, then if you read Lama Tsongkhapa's third volume, right, third volume which is on emptiness, so what I would say is that on emptiness, the third volume is one of the best books on emptiness. But if you don't know this background story about the debate amongst the 3 scholars, Acharya Buddhapalita, Acharya Bhavaviveka, Acharya Chandragati, and then how their presentation is further interpreted, understood by the Tibetan scholars, again diverging in views. If you don't know these background, if you don't have this background, reading the volume 3 of Lama Tsongkhapa's the Lamrim, the third volume, you will just feel lost, because he touched many of these areas, these debates. Okay, whereas once you know this background, then it's very convincing, and it is very helpful for you to get into emptiness by reading this volume, the third volume. Okay, so now the point is that some scholars, Tibetan scholars, they say that the autonomous syllogism is a syllogism which you provide independent of what the opponents are saying. What the opponents accept, don't accept, okay, this is a different story. You give your own reasoning, right? Okay, the flower is empty of, flower is illusion-like because it is empty of true existence, because it is empty of objective existence. You give your own reason, finish, and the opponent's job is to work on this, right? So believing that a reason must be provided from your side in order to establish a position, in order to establish the position or the convincing position to the opponent. So that reasoning is known as autonomous syllogism. One group of scholars say this. Another scholar said, no, it is not necessary. Every time you have to establish a subtle phenomena, you have to establish a subtle point, subtle object like emptiness, you have to provide the reasoning. Reasoning is necessary, right? Just the reductio ad absurdum, tenure, it is not sufficient. You have to provide a reasoning. For somebody to accept the reasoning, the need for reasoning doesn't mean that it's the autonomous syllogism or autonomous reasoning. So what is autonomous reasoning? Is accepting that reasoning to exist objectively. Objectively existing reasoning is known as autonomous reasoning. So Madhyamikas, Prasanga Madhyamikas cannot accept such a objectively existent anything, including objectively existent reasoning. So this is the meaning of autonomous substantial reality. Autonomous reasoning. 2. So there are two views amongst the later scholars. But exactly as so till that point, Acharya Chandragati, right, saying that would be wonderful if we still have these same scholars with us, Acharya Chandragati, Acharya Chandragati, then we can ask him directly. So this autonomous the syllogism is not something the Madhyamikas should be asserting. This is what you said. What do you understand by the what do you mean by autonomous reasoning, autonomous syllogism? What do you mean by that? We can ask him directly. Because he's no more with us, then we have to speculate. So the scholars, they come up with different views, and of course the very refined scholars, they come up with different views. So because there are different views, it is actually so helpful for us. So helpful for us. For our job is particularly this area is very authentically and very powerfully presented by Lama Tsongkhapa in, say, the third volume of Lamrim, the great treatise on the stage of power and enlightenment, third volume, and then in the Ocean Reasoning, commentary on Aranyagarjuna's Mula Madhyamika, number 2, and then number 3, a little bit, not really too much, the commentary on Madhyamika Avatar, a little bit, and then the one in detail in the eloquent speech. So there, I think the translation, English translation, one by Thurman is there, by Bob Thurman is there, and then so it has basically two sections. Lama Tsongkhapa's the eloquent speech, Leksha Nyingbo. It has two parts, one on Chittamatra philosophy and the other on Madhyamik philosophy. So Madhyamik again is divided into 2. So, or in other words, we can make it 3, split in 3 divisions. So the first part, which is on Chittamatra, is translated by Jeffrey Hawkins, but this discussion is not in that part. So this discussion is in the Prasangika part section, the third part of the eloquent speech. So which I don't think the Jeffrey Hawkins translated this. He translated just the first part, and then both Thurman's translations there. Okay, so if you can read these, and then slowly, and of course, say I'm not too sure whether the material is available, but the different scholars, the later commentators, later scholars, for example, like the scripture authors of the scriptures, the texts of the various monasteries. For example, say one by the Kunjanjana Shiva, Gomang Monastery, Depung Gomang Monastery, Kunjanjana Shiva. This one text. He has such exquisite, his style of composition again very different. He's a highly refined scholar, and of course a practitioner. And then say the Sereche Monastery, again they have their own Jizun Chogi Genzen. His own text, again, he is a brilliant scholar. The version slightly different. And then we have Serame Monastery, Keduk Nendarwa. He's again a brilliant scholar, the author of the script, the main script, the text of Serame Monastery. And then Ganden Changze Monastery, again the author, of course, very brilliant, authoritative. And then finally, Ganden Sharze Monastery and Depung Losulu Monastery, 2 of them, the same author, the same scholar, the Pension Stone Topper, who authored the same text for both the monastic colleges. So these are the, I'm not too sure about the availability of the materials in English. Okay, otherwise, luckily, Lama Tsongkhapa's the works, materials available in English. Okay. And the point is that there is a slight variations happening here and there. Otherwise, this is the basic point as to what exactly does mean by autonomous syllogism, right? syllogism that you think that you have to provide independent of the defendant's position. You just have to provide. So that is understood as autonomous syllogism. This is one way of understanding it. Other groups have said no. No matter what, we have to provide a syllogism, a valid syllogism on top. Whether you provide whether you work on the reductio ad absurdum or not, but you have to provide a valid syllogism. So that syllogism does not entail autonomous syllogism, right? So what is autonomous syllogism? Autonomous syllogism, autonomous means independent, true, truly, objectively existent syllogism is known as autonomous syllogism, right? So then the debates go around. Okay, this is the point. Okay, now continue reading from page 157, the last paragraph. We are on the third line of the last paragraph. The way of touching upon the non-assertion of autonomous syllogism in terms of not asserting inherent existence has already been extensively explained in other texts, but it's also briefly explained here. Okay, so with this, now if you know this, what I said now, if you understood this well, then you can read the other books. Other books, as I said earlier, say like the third volume of Lama Tsongkhapa, you read it, about the debates amongst the three scholars, and then you read the Ocean Reasoning, chapter 1, the commentary, on Mula Madhyamankarika, chapter 1. So there it becomes pretty clear. Okay, and then you decide. Don't decide too quickly. Say, if this is the position, autonomous syllogism meaning that I have to provide a syllogism. This becomes autonomous syllogism. If I understand it in this way, then what's the problem? Is it necessary that I should always provide a syllogism in order to convince a point to the other person? Is it necessary? Right? And particularly, a very difficult point like emptiness. Okay, then again very nuanced debates are going there. So some say that although I may not explicitly, verbally, produce a syllogism, but how I present it, somehow the other person will get what you say from there. The person, your defendant or the opponent, the other person will somehow get the structure, proper structure from what you are saying, will get a proper structure of a proper syllogism. So whether you explicitly say this or not, other person gets it. So without this syllogism, other person cannot possibly understand emptiness, right? So that syllogism does not entail autonomous syllogism. That syllogism is must. Whether you explicitly utter this or not, but a syllogism must come to the other person's mind, defendant's mind, in order to understand get to emptiness. So that does not entail autonomous syllogism. That is what is required. And some say that no, the moment a syllogism, you think that a syllogism is required for the other person to get emptiness, you already believe in objective existence. So this is how, say the debates are happening. So our job is, at least we have to understand these two things well. Then on that basis, we try to work on emptiness, and then try to get a little bit of, say, goosebumps in the body, right? What emptiness is, no, things don't exist the way they appear to me. They're all like, dream. They're like illusion. They don't exist. Yeah, they then feel a little bit of goosebumps come in the body. Okay, when that happens to me through some syllogism or without syllogism, right? Okay, it comes without syllogism. Wow, then the other scholar is correct. It comes with the syllogism. Okay, so which means that from this I can conjecture that anybody who has to get this experience should necessarily get this experience by dependence on this syllogism, the construction of this syllogism in the mind. So therefore, the other side of the scholars, they are correct, right? So this is what we can decide later on, right? And of course, We also then slowly try to work on what Acharya Chandrakirti is actually saying in Prasthanapada, and what Acharya Bhavaviveka is saying in his text, the Shiradrime, the Lamp of the Wisdom. And then Acharya Buddhapalita's version is pretty of the synopsis, and the detailed presentation is pretty straightforward. And that also we can read. I don't know how accurate the translation, English translation is, but there's some chapters they're already translated in English. I don't know accuracy. I did not go through this. Okay. This is a little bit about that. Point number 3. Next. This page 157, the last paragraph, line 5. The way of touching upon the assertion of external objects in terms of not asserting inherent existence will be explained. Okay, so that part again. So in other words, those points which are related to rejecting Chittamatra philosophy, like rejecting Alivigyan, then rejecting what? The self-cognizant mind, Rangrig, then rejecting the non-assertion of externality. So all these things will be dealt with in great detail in this particular chapter. Okay, and then followed by also the way of touching upon the 5th. What is the 5th? Hearers and solitude realizers have the realization of things as non-inherently existent. Okay, so this, if you remember, we did it in great detail in chapter 1. Chapter 1? Beginning of chapter 6? Beginning of chapter 6 or chapter 1? Chapter 1 we did in great detail. Chapter 6 also touched. Meaning that whether you're following the Mahayana path, you're following the Shravaka Pratigvada path, personal liberation seeker's path, in both cases, without understanding emptiness of objective existence, there's no way by which you can achieve nirvana. So this is what we have learned extensively in chapter 1, and then also touched on this in chapter 6, beginning of chapter 6. Okay, let's see. Also, the way of touching upon the 5th, the assertion that hearers and solitude realizers have the realization of things as non-inherently existent in terms of not asserting inherent existence is as follows. Okay, this is addition by the translator. Is as follows. The non-existence of self of the statement, the self-existence of all phenomena within the hearer's basket by Buddhapalita is established by way of his own entity. Okay, so this is the elaborating on point 5. What we are reading now is like elaboration of the point 5. This is what the author Lama Tsongkhapa is explaining, elaborating on point 5, saying that hearers and solitude realizers they have to realize emptiness in order to achieve nirvana. So in this context, the Lama Tsongkhapa is explaining below the non-existent self of the statement. Of the non-existent self of the statement, the selflessness of all phenomena within the hearer's basket. Hearer's basket meaning within the context of the hearer, the Shravakas. For the Shravakas, the Buddha taught teachings. The teachings contained in the basket. Basket meaning what? The teachings. The teachings meant for the Shravakas. Shravakas, by Buddhapalita is establishment by way of its own entity. So here, I'll say in Shravaka's text, okay, let me put it like this. In Shravaka's basket meaning what? Basket meaning referring to teachings of Buddha. Why the teachings of Buddha referred to as the basket? But basket is the container which contains the contents. Likewise, the Buddha's teachings are the containers which contains the contents. What contents? For example, the Buddha's teaching of the Abhidharma, basket of Abhidharma. Abhidharma teaches the wisdom. The container is the Abhidharma, and what it teaches is the wisdom. Wisdom is the container. So the Abhidharma is like the basket which contains the wisdom as the content. And then the sutra. Sutra, it has many connotations. Sutra, in general, sutra means all teachings of Buddhas are sutras. And then even the non-Buddhist traditions, they speak about sutras, right? So therefore, sutra is something, don't just say, oh, sutra, tantra, sutra. Don't just immediately go there. The point is, sutra has many connotations. One, sutra, okay, within the Buddhist context, first keep in mind that sutra, this word sutra, right, is used by Buddhists and non-Buddhists alike. Don't forget it. One. Sutra has a connotation, say, in Tibetan, it is do. Do. Do means like they say the formula, like they say the summary, like the synopsis, or the comprehension. So these are the various connotations of what sutra is. Okay, so the point is that keep in mind, be very flexible in understanding the different connotations, right? Don't be too rigid. The moment you see the word sutra, okay, this is sutra as opposed to tantra, don't jump to this conclusion. One interpretation is sutra as, say, some kind of very standard teachings accepted by the Buddhists and the non-Buddhists alike. Non-Buddhists also, they speak about sutra in their own context, and Buddhists also speak about sutra in their own context. Sutra is one very generic sense. The second, within the Buddhist context, then they say the sutra in the context of all the teachings of Buddha as sutras, and the teachings of the Indian commentators, later commentators, they are not sutras, they are commentaries. In Tibetan we call them Demje. Demje. Okay, Shastra. In Sanskrit, like Shastra, Sutra versus Shastra. So Shastra is the commentary by the Indian masters. Okay. And the Tibetan masters, their compositions can also be included in Shastras, the commentaries. Okay, so Sutra in the form of the teachings of the Buddha in general, which means Sutra, Tantra both come under this category. Okay, any teaching of Buddha can be understood as Sutra. Number two, understanding. Number three, Sutra as opposed to Tantra. Sutra as opposed to Tantra. Within the Buddhist context, Sutra as opposed to Tantra. This is another version of Sutra, right? Okay, this is according to Sutra, this is not according to Tantra. What are you saying is according to Tantra? We are talking about Sutra. So there the Sutra, not in the context of any other the context, but in the context of the Sutra as opposed to Tantra. One. Next, Sutra in the context of the Tripitak, 3 higher trainings, 3 baskets, right? So the 3 baskets, Tripitak, Denesum in Tibetan, Denesum, Dene. So these Denesum, they are the 3 baskets. They have the 3 contents. The 3 baskets of Vinaya, Sutra, and Abhidhamma. Vinaya, Sutra, Abhidhamma. So 3 baskets, and each of them have the contents. So Vinaya has the discipline as the content, Sutra has the meditative concentration as the content, and Abhidhamma has the wisdom as the content. You're getting it? So in that way, the Sutra in this context is understood as the container. Container to contain contain what? Meditative concentrations as its content matter. Okay, so now the sutras, or the basket now referring to teachings. The teachings for the solitary realizers, Pratik Buddhas, teachings for the solitary realizers, Shravakas. So there the Buddha taught non-self. Buddha taught non-self to Shravakas. Shravakas who seek personal liberation. Buddha taught non-self in the teachings, the basket of teachings for the Shravakas. That one of the very important contents is selflessness or the non-self. So this non-self, Acharya Buddha Parita interpreted this as non-self in the context of emptiness of objective existence, emptiness of inherent existence. Okay, let's read this again. The non-existent self, you're getting it? The non-existence, the sixth last line of page 157, last paragraph, page 157, sixth last line from the bottom, sixth last line. The non-existent self, as a part of the statement, non-existent self of the statement, non-existent self as a part of the statement. Statement, which statement? The selflessness of all phenomena within the hearer's basket. Right? Hearers meaning Shravakas. Shravakas basket meaning teachings for the Shravakas. Within that, the Buddha said what? Buddha said the selflessness of all phenomena. Selflessness of all phenomena within the hearer's basket. Selflessness of all phenomena. Buddha taught the selflessness of all phenomena. This is what you find the Buddha's teachings for the Shravakas. So this selflessness of all phenomena. Selflessness of all phenomena. So there is all phenomena, selflessness of person, phenomena, everything. So this selflessness of person, how does one interpret it? How does one interpret it? By Buddha Palita, right? By Buddha Palita is, so how one understands this is establishment by way of its own entity. So this selflessness, person, selflessness. This selflessness, what is the opposite of selflessness? Selfhood. This selfhood is to be understood as what? Establishment by way of its own entity. Establishment by way of its own entity, inherent existence, objective existence, they all mean the same. So this is okay. In Tibetan it is Rangwene Juba. So establishment or existing from one's own entity, as was explained previously. So if this is how we have to understand it, so where the teaching of the Shrivaka, when the Buddha said the selflessness of phenomena, the selflessness of all phenomena, right? Selflessness of all phenomena. So this, if you have to understand the selflessness of establishment by way of its own entity, if this is how we understand it, then you have to understand emptiness according to Prasangika. You're getting it? So the Shravakas have to understand emptiness of Prasangika. And it's asserted here as well. So what do you find in Buddha Palita's text? This is how we have to understand it in Acharya Chandagiri's text as well. It's asserted here as well. Here referring to Acharya Chandagiri's text. Furthermore, this means that it fulfills the definition of selflessness. So what exactly does mean by selflessness? Is the selflessness in the context of the emptiness of establishment from his own entity. Therefore, it fulfills the definition of the selflessness of persons, and necessary also that of the person's non-establishment by way of his own entity. So the person's non-establishment by his own entity, the person does not exist objectively, they all mean the same. In other words, it's the understanding of the emptiness according to Prasangika. In order to realize that properly, it is an essential must to also realize the selflessness of phenomena properly. So to understand the selfless person in the context of the person not established as from his own entity, if this is how you have to understand the selflessness of the person, in other words, that the person does not exist objectively. If this is what you have to understand, then to understand this, you have to understand selflessness of phenomena. Selfless phenomena is what? That the phenomena do not exist objectively. Right? So the selflessness of person, selflessness of phenomena, in the context of absence of objective existence. So there was the difference in the difference on the objective analysis, or the difference on the predicate, which is to be the difference in the objective negation. Say selflessness of person, selflessness of the phenomena, both to be understood in the context of the emptiness of objective existence. Emptiness of establishment from its own entity, right? If this is how we have to understand the selflessness of person and self phenomena, so these two selflessnesses, selflessness of person and phenomena, differ in what? Differ in the objective analysis, or differ in the objective negation? Huh?
Objective analysis.
Different object analysis. Why? Object negation is just same. What's object negation? Objective existence or establishment from its own entity, right? Establishment from its own entity or objective existence or inherent existence, that is object negation. That is the same in both cases. So what is the difference is only the object analysis. So whereas if you understand the way the Lober schools posit, the substance of person means the person being empty of autonomous substantial reality, and substance of phenomena is the person being empty of true existence. Then the difference is in the object negation. One, that the person does not exist as autonomous substantial reality. Object negation is very gross as compared to the person not existing truly, right? Okay, so which means that to realize the substance of person, to realize the substance of person, we have to realize the substance of phenomena. If the substance of person is to be understood as selflessness in the context of emptiness of objective existence or emptiness of establishment from its own entity. You getting it? Okay. Okay, so the last line reads, it is an essential must to also realize the substance of phenomena properly. For somebody to realize the substance of person, it is essential for one to realize the substance of phenomena as well. If you understand the substance of person to mean the subtle substance, the word to mean to reject the inherent existence. Okay, next 158. Okay, so these concepts, I'm very sure that while I'm sharing this with you, okay, the regular participants as well as the online participants, while I'm sharing this, on the spot you will get something, and then the very next moment it will disappear. I know that, and don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Why I'm saying this is that as long as on the spot you get something, that's very good. You're getting it? That's very good. I'm reassuring this, that later on as we go down the line, these concepts will keep repeating, explicitly, implicitly, directly, indirectly, they will constantly be repeated, right? So by the time when we reach the end, towards the end of this text, meaning chapter 6, you go back and okay, nowadays it's pretty easy because of Rimala and the team, team of the transcribers. We are very lucky that all the classes, they are being transcribed, and the work that they are doing is so good. It's really admirable, and many people, wherever I travel, those people who are exposed to the transcriptions, they are so happy. So this is, and then listen to from Debeshla about how Rimala is doing the quality controlling the quality of the transcription. It's just amazing how much, despite her ill health, she's making sure that each transcription is well checked, make sure that the accuracy is there. So to the extent that she could figure out, okay, this transcription has 98% accuracy, 97% accuracy, and 96% accuracy. This is how detailed she goes into, which means that despite her ill health, very fragile health, still she has put so much of energy there. And I don't know in what way, what's the best way to really thank her and all the team, how they're working so hard towards that. And this is an incredibly great job. So all of us, myself and all the participants of this program, of this Nada Master's course, and the future, the participants and students of Nada Master's course should be all feeling so grateful to all of them. The Rimala, Debeshla, who is always the backbone for when Rimala is a little sick, so forth, needs some idea. Debeshla is always there to support her, and then each individual, the transcribers, the individual, those in the team, your work is incredibly great, the treasure to this program. And in the past we have the story of, let's say, all the manuscripts, like thousands and thousands of manuscripts of the great masters of Nalanda from Nalanda University. They're all being burned. Incredible treasure being lost. So now we are very lucky that this team, you are doing a great job. So I'm sure that through your efforts, you accumulate so much merit for the revival of the Buddha Dharma. Okay, and particularly the Buddha Dharma, very scholastic and very refined Buddha Dharma. So without this scholarship, then the problem is that the Dharma can become more and more dilute as the generations pass by. Because of the scholarship, then the rigor of the Dharma can be maintained so well. So everyone, Rimala, Deveshla, and everyone in this team, your contribution is highly, highly, highly respected, valued, and treasured. Okay, so we are lucky that all the transcriptions available there. Okay, so what I'm saying is that, later on, and of course reading the transcriptions and listening to the recordings, reading the transcriptions is way easier. And particularly somebody who's already attended the teaching in person, or already listened to the recordings once, then going to transcription is much, much easier. You can mark, you can then just go through flip through 2-3 pages in one go, and then move to the next very easily. For the recordings, listen to the recordings, and then to locate the exact spot is very difficult. Okay, so then we see that now it becomes very easy. So the point is, as you go down, as we come closer towards the end of chapter 6, particularly chapter 6, and then if you go back to the transcriptions, you will realize that things are pretty very clear, easy. Earlier I did not understand it, now I'm understanding it. So why I'm saying this, what makes me feel so confident to say this, is it is my personal experience, and unlike what we're doing here. So my student days, the teaching on Madhyamaka Avatar happened right at, I think, 1 o'clock in South India. South India meaning the Munkot, Drepung. So there it is the peak of the heat. Right after the lunch. And at 1 o'clock sharp. And then I was attending class, and then my mind was just so like I've eaten the drugs. Right? Just paying attention and not getting anything, just I could hear some echo, my teachers, echo. Okay, then after 1 hour, then the next batch of the students for the next class, they come, and then we make prestations, then we leave. Okay, what did I understand? My teacher must have been feeling, okay, so they're all very drowsy bunch of students, right? So this is how it happened, and I noticed that then if this is how I was receiving the teachings, then why not I read it myself instead of going to the teaching? So I tried it, reading it, and I do not get anything. What at the class I went there, although I was just in the very drowsy, coming back I read it and I understand it. I won't say understood fully, but I understand it. Right? Understand it, and it just seeps in your mind so beautifully, and it's right there. And then where the part which I didn't receive teachings from my teacher, I read it, so superficially I'm getting something, but still it's not really seeping in. So this is the difference between, and then later on, after coming closer towards the end, and then going back, you read any page, they're all just as though vividly the teaching being received is become very clear. This is my personal experience. So with this, what I'm saying is that, and of course from the modern education background, and luckily, and I also had the opportunity to receive modern education. Because of this, I say this, you'll be more convinced. If I only have the traditional education and not the modern education, then if I say something, you will not trust me, right? Okay, so then meeting with the big professors, physicists, neuroscientists, and so forth. Their thinking, the modern thinking. So I've been always updated with their thinking, meeting with them, so forth. So from this, what I can say is that people who are purely introduced to the modern education system, the tendency is that people are a lack of patience. They want everything just now. This is a problem. So then they can easily quit. They can easily quit. Okay, I don't understand anything. It's just right above my head. This is the word that I learned from, the expression I learned somewhere in a conference, right? Well, whatever he said, it went just passed by my head, which means that we have not answered anything. This was the first time I heard it from a conference, from an academic conference, right? So therefore, which means that they are ready to quit. Possibly means that there's no point coming, right? So this is what I would really encourage. The fact that I'm from both the background, I reassure you that as long as when on the spot for a few seconds, what I'm saying, if you understand it, that's good enough. That's good enough. And then the moment you go out, you try to recollect what he said. Everything gets jumbled up, become hazy. Don't worry, right? The point is that all these points which we're discussing now, they will come over and over again, but explicitly, implicitly, directly, indirectly, they will come over and over again. You're getting it? Okay. So later on, closer towards the, believe it or not, closer towards the end of the chapter, you go back to the transcriptions, and then if possible, if you re-listen to the recordings, you'll be fascinated. You're getting it? I didn't know that I've learned this much. You go back to listen to this, you'll be fascinated. How did they answer all these things now, right? Okay, so this is what we need to keep in mind. With that mind, 158, page 158, first line. When that is the case, since one must definitely assert the conception of a self or phenomena to be an affliction, there exist many different features such as, okay, so I'll go back to page 157, the 8 points. Of the 8 points, we finished which one? 5. Now with the 6. The 6 says, the conception of a self or phenomena is posited as an affliction. Okay, from this we see that the discussion is more, they say the discussion is more amongst 3 of them. Chittamatra, Savatthana Madhyamika, and Prasangika, 3 of them. So where Prasangika, the Lama Tsongkhapa is pointing to the unique presentations of Prasangika as compared to, with respect to Chittamatra, with respect to Savatthana Madhyamika. So these are the main points. Now, with the point number 6, the conception of self or phenomena as posited as an affliction, meaning that conception of self, meaning ignorance pertaining to the selfhood of phenomena. Instead of self, let's put it selfhood. Say the conception of the selfhood. Conception of the selfhood. Conception of the selfhood of phenomena. Okay, conception of selfhood of phenomena. Let's say ignorance. Ignorance, misconceiving the selfhood of phenomena. Okay, tell me. Misconceiving the selfhood of phenomena is afflictive obscurity. Okay, is it a mental defilement or is a valid mind? It's a mental defilement. It's not a valid mind, it's a mental defilement. Okay, being a mental defilement, so which of the 2 mental defilements is it? The afflictive obscurations or the cognitive obscurations? Afflictive obscurations as per? Okay, say the misconception of the selfhood of phenomena is afflictive obscurations as per Prasangika, according to Prasangika, and is cognitive obscuration according to Chittamatra and Savatthana Madhyamika. Okay, very good. Okay, now Prasangika says that so this is this is not the cognitive obscuration, it is afflictive obscuration, right? Affliction, it is affliction and it is afflictive obscurations. Okay, how do we convince that? So this is a very important point, because if somebody wants to be liberated, or if somebody wants to achieve nirvana, then the person just nirvana, personal liberation, then depending on what is your view. If you think that the selflessness of phenomena, or this misconception of the selfhood of phenomena falls under afflictive obscurations, then you will meditate on the selflessness of phenomena. Whereas if you think that the misconception of selfhood of the phenomena falls under the cognitive obscuration, then who cares? I don't seek Buddhahood, I seek only personal liberation. So I don't have to eradicate the cognitive obscurations. I don't have to eradicate the misconception of the selfhood of phenomena. So why do I have to meditate on the selflessness of phenomena? So therefore, these philosophical views, philosophical differences, they play a very important role in an individual person's practice. Right? Okay. So now, according to Acharya Chandragirti, according to Prasangika, right, whether you seek personal liberation or whether you seek the Buddhahood, you have to meditate on the selfless phenomena, because you have to eradicate the misconception of the selfhood of phenomena. Why? Because the misconception of selfhood of phenomena does not fall under the cognitive obscuration; it falls under afflictive obscurations. Whereas the lower school says that no, this falls under the cognitive obscuration. So therefore, seeking personal liberation may not necessarily meditate on the selfless of phenomena. Okay, so this is a point. Now let's read page 158, which is related to the point number 6. So these are explanations given by the Lama Tsongkhapa related to the 8 points, right? So some of them already explained earlier, some of them going to be explained in this particular the chapter which we're going now, and then some of them which the author is explaining now, not necessarily as a part of the root text. Okay. Line 1, page 158, line 1. When that is the case, since one must definitely assert the conception of a self of phenomena, conception of selfhood of phenomena to be an affliction, there exist many different features as such. So the moment you say that, the moment you say, okay, so the English, okay, this is about, I won't really blame the translator of this too much, because say if you read the complicated philosophy Prasangika, authored by an Indian master, translated into Tibetan, and one authored by Tibetan, written in the original Tibetan. If you read the two, you will see the first one is very difficult to understand. Second one is very easy. You won't believe. This is the experience that I got. Say, His Holiness was going to give a teaching on what? Which text? I think Dharmadadastava. Dharmadadastava by Aranyagarjuna in the West. And then they just read it, translate from Sanskrit into Tibetan. Syntax, all these things, we can't really expect to understand everything. And then I looked for some commentaries. So I got 2 commentaries. One by an Indian master, one by a Tibetan scholar. So the Indian master wrote that in Sanskrit, translated into Tibetan, and the Tibetan scholar directly wrote in Tibetan. Okay, when I read the Indian master's commentary, I read it. It's as though like, okay, my personal experience is as though like I'm driving a car on a very bumpy road. And then I become so desperate, just going through 2, 3, 4 lines, I feel exhausted, tired. And then I got the Tibetan the commentary by the Tibetan master. I read it. It is like just an aeroplane, very smooth. Not because of the Tibetan masters, the composition is smoother. Not because of that, because of the language structure. It's the original Tibetan language structure, and I know the Tibetan language structure. I don't know the Sanskrit language structure, because of which, so their subject matter is the same, but the translators, Tibetan translators, amazing. Tibetan translators, they maintain the rigor, and remain so loyal to the original, the Sanskrit. So the language syntax, language structure of Sanskrit and Tibetan is very different. So it's not that the text is complicated, it's the language structure, I don't know. Because I don't know this, it's very draggery, it is like on a very bumpy road for me. Whereas the Tibetan one, I know the Tibetan structure, is very easy. Now the Tibetan text, when translated into English, again the Tibetan language structure and the English language structure is very different. So therefore some translators who have been so loyal to the original Tibetan source, for me, when I was in my age 20s, just finished my high school, joined the monastery, and reading those books in English, that the translators who are very loyal to the original Tibetan, these books as well, I was reading Tibetan. I could feel that. It's such a flow there, I could understand almost everything. And then later on, and when people ask me, what book should I read? I would recommend that book. And later on, I got a feedback that people find that book so difficult to understand. Then I realized that it is not the subject matter, it's a language. Right? So therefore, the point is, so this is a translation from the Tibetan. So the translators, one, seems like the impression that I got is there's a Geshe involved and there's the native English speaker involved too. And the subject matter wise, the Geshe was giving, and then sometimes I say, okay, giving, and the native English speaker does not have much choice because he has to listen to the English word from the Geshe, and the Geshe is not too good in English. Right? So therefore what is happening is that then the Geshe will give the Tibetan structure. So the English native English speaker has to keep it there because he's a little scared. Right? This word came from the Geshe, if I alter it, there's a problem. So therefore we see that this more in the Tibetan structure. Okay, now native English speakers saying, okay, this is, I may be going to beyond the border. I would say there is, okay, the point is that okay, I want to go to the next. Okay, so the point is that many of the masters, Nada masters, course participants, many of them, native English speakers, and even the Indians, the English is very high, of high quality. I sense it. And so because of this, for somebody who has a very natural, very good English, reading this translation can be very difficult. Very difficult because this has the Tibetan structure. Tibetan language structure is there, still there. So therefore you may find it difficult. But the point is that as I explain this, if you can get it, and then slowly you may adopt the structure. Right? You read it becomes easy for you. Right? Okay, so in fact for me, my personal, it's just a little sharing. Reading the original Indian commentaries and the texts translated into Tibetan, so difficult to get it, so difficult. Okay. At times, you started to get this structure slowly by reading over again, then reading commentaries, slowly you're getting the structure. The Sanskrit structure, you're getting it. And then you could see such a beauty there in this language. Such a beauty, amazingly beautiful things coming from there. So this was what I sensed on several occasions. Yeah. Okay. Page 158. Line 1. When that is the case, since one must definitely assert the conception of a self of phenomena to be an affliction, conception, or the misconception, or the conception, or the ignorance of the self phenomena to be an affliction, there exist many different features such as, okay, so the moment we say that we speak about the misconception or the conception of conception, both are correct. Both are correct. Misconception of the self phenomena or the conception of self phenomena, both are correct. So the conception of self phenomena, the moment we say that that is affliction, this is not cognitive obscuration. When you say that, then from there many other things also come out. Many other positions also come out, which would differ from how the lower schools present. Like what? Point one. With respect to the identification of afflictions, there are two, the cause and the subtle. So now, because that you say that the conception of this self phenomena is not afflictive, it is cognitive. No, sorry, it is not cognitive, it is afflictive. Then you have to say that afflictions as posited by the lower schools and afflictions uniquely presented by the Prasangikas. Two things naturally come out. One is gross, one is subtle. So, with respect to identification of afflictions, there are two, the coarse and the subtle. Coarse, as identified by the lower schools, on the basis of the misconception of the autonomous substantial reality, and the subtle, on the basis of the misconception of the self phenomena. You're getting it? Okay, subtle, presented by the Prasangikas. Number two, there are two ways of asserting that there is freedom and that there is no freedom by the mere part of 16 attributes, impermanence, so forth. Meaning, okay, this is very terrible English. There's freedom, there's no freedom. It's a contradiction, right? Okay, but this English, we can't do anything. Okay, so we won't blame the translator. Idea is that it's more like very literal borrowing from the Tibetan structure, right? Okay, what it says is that, say, the lower schools say that you can have the freedom from affliction, freedom from samsara, by simply understanding the 16 attributes, keeping aside the wisdom of emptiness. Without the wisdom of emptiness, simply meditating on the gross 16 attributes, you can achieve nirvana. This is according to lower schools, which means that there is a freedom. That there is a freedom meaning that there is a freedom from samsara by meditating on the gross 16 attributes. 16 attributes as accepted by the lower schools. What are 16 attributes? 4 attributes each for the 4 noble truths. You getting it? Okay, 4 noble truths, each of them having 4 attributes, that is 16 attributes. Okay. Impermanence and so forth. So that is a gross one. And then the Prasangikas version of you can speak about the Prasanga version of 16 attributes, or you can speak about the 16 attributes plus the emptiness of objective existence, right? Which means that simply by meditating on the gross 16 attributes, 4 noble truths, you can be liberated, accepted by the lower schools. And Prasanga is saying that it cannot liberate you. Another version, 2 positions again came out on the basis of the Prasangika's acceptance of the conception of the self phenomena as affliction. From there, these 2 different views come into being. Number 2. Number 3. From what point the knowledge obstructions are abandoned? What is knowledge obstruction? Cognitive obscurations. So, at one point, following the Bodhisattva path, of course, the knowledge obstructions. Okay, let's say knowledge of obstruction or cognitive obscurations. At what point one starts to eradicate the cognitive obscurations, knowledge obstruction. At what point? Again, the views differ. These two, the Svatanta Madhyamika and Prasangika, they diverge in terms of as to when. For example, let's say the Svatanta Madhyamika, what they say is that at the time of when you reach, for example, let's say when you reach the path of seeing, what? Gate bharagate. When it is the part of seeing, so there, then you already start to eradicate. You already start to eradicate the cognitive obscurations from the part of seeing, right? And then you say you eradicate more and more subtle of the cognitive obscurations, along with the affective obscurations when you go along the 10 bhumis. Okay. Whereas the cognitive prasangika, no. You first eradicate all the afflictive obscurations. Only then you can attempt to eradicate the cognitive obscurations. You cannot even touch the cognitive obscurations unless you have eradicated the afflictive obscurations altogether. So when does one remove the afflictive obscurations altogether? In the case of the bodhisattvas, 8 bhumi. So only when you reach the 8th bhumi, then the cognitive obscurations, you start to eradicate the cognitive obscurations. Before that, you can't even touch it. Which means that even the attempt to eradicate cognitive obscurations cannot be made before that. Right? So these two divisions came into being because of Prasanga's acceptance of the conception of the self-of phenomena as affliction. Because of that. Okay, so we see that these three different points came into being as a result of the Prasangika coming up with the position that the conception of self phenomena is afflictive obscuration or is affliction. Okay, good. Okay, we'll stop here, and let's say there are some questions here. Okay. It should be with me. I don't know how. Okay, there's one question which says that, say, the autonomous substantial reality. No, the misconception of the autonomous substantial reality. So it is. Okay, the best that we have it. Okay. Okay, it says according to Prasangikas, viewing the self as autonomous substantial reality can be acquired and innate. It can be acquired and innate. I can't find where in this passage it explicitly states that this view can also be acquired. Okay, so the question asked is that, say for example, tell me, say the misconception of the self to be permanent, unitary, independent. Misconception of the permanent, unitary, independent self, is it acquired or innate? It is acquired. Okay, let's say is acquired. Then what about the misconception of the self as objectively real? Acquired or innate? Not acquired. Both? Innate? Somebody should say acquired, then all three of them know. Okay, just now what we do is, now instead of waiting for somebody to tell you, now you have enough information. You can be the right person, legitimate person to think and decide. Okay, let's say I'm not saying just check your mind whether it is innate or innate. This is not what I'm saying. You're getting it? They'll come later. They'll come much later, after completing the text, and maybe still after, right? Okay, at this point, most likelihood not. If you can do it now and still come into this class, means that you come to test me, right? Okay, so if you come genuinely for this class, which means that you cannot do it at this point, but who knows? We never know that. Okay, the point is that from the information that we have thus far, seeing the self as objectively real, can this be innate? So the text from what we have learned thus far, is that we all have been into samsara because of this self-grasping ignorance. Of naturally, it should be innate, because how can the animals who have no exposure to philosophy, how can they have the acquired, right? They also have the self-grasping ignorance. They also go through the 12 links. The first link is the self-grasping ignorance, which means that innate soul is naturally there. We don't have to, from this information that we have, we can say that it has innate part. Now the acquired part, seeing the self, misconceiving the self as objective real, can this be acquired? Huh? Yes. No. Huh? How yes? Anyone? Anyone? Reasons? How yes? Anyone? From the information that we have, anyone?
Krishna, if in this life I learn about Svatantrika Madhyamika or some
Exactly.
school and I get
Exactly. Svatantrika Madhyamika and all the Buddhist law schools, not only Buddhist schools, even non-Buddhist schools, they all say, except for Prasangika, they all say that anything that exists should exist objectively. This is what their philosophy is. So the philosophy teaches their followers that the self exists object real. This is acquired, philosophically acquired, right? So therefore, misconceiving the self as object real can be both, can be acquired as well as innate. Don't say it is both. It is not both, it has both, right? Okay, now with this, let's say that the misconceiving the self as autonomous substantial real, misconceiving the self as autonomous substantial real, it is innate, or it has acquired, or it has both. What do you think? From the information that we have, it can be both. It can have both. No, it has both. It has both, or is acquired, only acquired, or only innate. Or how would you say? How many you say that it is only innate? Okay, how many you say it is only acquired? How do you say it can be, it has both? Wow, it's amazing. Okay, now tell me, how do you say that it has the acquired? How would you say that this misconception of the self to be autonomous substantial reality has the element of the acquired, acquired element? How do you say this? Anyone? Anyone who can defend this? This is what you want to say? We'll try. Or did you follow the question? How can you say that the misconception of the self as autonomous substance real, this has the acquired part? How can you say this?
Actually, we had a group discussion on this, and Rimala, who's not here, gave a very good answer about this. So I'm only paraphrasing what so I think the acquired part can be when you see the autonomous self as being somehow separate. You kind of reinforce that notion. That element is the acquired part.
Good. Anyone? Yes, Yuaji?
This is just a very quick guess, but when you see it as autonomous substantial real and you act upon it, then each time you do this, you redefine it.
Okay, the point is, how do we know that one can see as autonomous substantial real? How can we know? My question is, first question is, how can we know that the misconception of the self to be autonomous substance real can be acquired? Can have it has the acquired part. In other words, there is the philosophically acquired misconception of the self to be autonomous substance real. How can we know this? Anyone? Okay, I'll give you a clue. The clue is that think of any philosophical tradition who believe, think of any philosophical tradition who believe that the self exists as autonomous substantial real. If there is any philosophical tradition which believes that things, there is a thing, not necessarily all, there is a thing such as a self which exists autonomous substantial real, automatically from this we know that this school teaches the followers that philosophically let the people have the belief that things exist as that what? Okay, that the self exists autonomous substantial real, and it is philosophically acquired. This is what these people learned from philosophy, right? Okay, can you think of any school, any philosophical school which believes in the position that the self exists autonomous substantial real? Charvaka, very good. No, say it more loudly. Raise your hands. There's a mic there. Use the mic. Down there, down.
I would say all non-Buddhist schools like Samkhya.
Okay, Samkhya, Vedanta, the Nyaya, Mimamsaka, Charvaka. Okay, all these traditions. Any other traditions? Yes, Dipishla?
Vasiputras, Krishna.
Vasiputras, very good. Vaibhashika, Vasiputras, they also believe that the self is autonomous substantial real, very good. Then, no. Huh? Okay, within Buddhism, only Vasiputras? Only Vasiputras. Huh? All non-prasangikas. How? Mike. Say it again.
Because all
no, don't say because. Say first. Say it again. Repeat. All
prasangikas. Because they believe mind to be autonomous, substantially real.
Perfect. Very good. So all non-prasangikas, all non-prasangic Buddhist philosophers, they believe in the mind to be autonomous, substantially real. Right? So therefore, this is what these philosophical schools teach their followers. So the followers, they believe in that through what they've learned from the philosophy. So this is acquired from the philosophy, right? It is not only the Vasiputras, they're very direct. They say that there's a self. They don't necessarily go into the mind, the self per se. This self, which the other schools would say that this is a putative, but they said this self is the substantial autonomous substantial real, which is inexpressible as permanent or as impermanent. It's very strange philosophy, Vasiputras. Right? This is very obvious. Then the other Buddhist schools also believe in autonomous substantial real. It doesn't mean that they believe everything to be autonomous substantial real. They make a demarcation that some things exist as autonomous substantial real, some don't exist as autonomous substantial real. For example, the self, they split into two. You getting it? You remember that? The self, this I, putative self and substantial self too. You know, putative self meaning self which encompasses the body and the mind. Self which is constituted by the body and mind. This I am a boy, I am a girl, I am compassionate, I'm not compassionate, I'm short-tempered, I'm very this, whatever. So when we describe ourselves with the body and the mind, the self, which consists of the body and the mind, that self is what the other Buddhist schools, meaning keeping aside the Vasiputras, they classify that self as putative self. Whereas, keep aside Prasangika, whereas they speak about the substantial self. What is the substantial self? The mind, mental continuum, or the mind. This mind exists as autonomous, substantial, real. So this is what this philosophy teach. So therefore, because these philosophy teach, the followers, they learned it. They learned it from the philosophy. So this is acquired. So autonomous substantial, misconception of the autonomous substantial reality is something acquired. It's acquired as well as Okay, it's acquired. This is the first part, acquired. So acquired, we are able to prove it from the information that we have. Now, the next part is, how can we say that it has innate? Autonomous, the misconception of the self to be autonomous substance real. How can you say that it has the innate part? Anyone? Yes, Tejala?
If there is a spontaneous tendency for someone to cognize something by cognizing something else, that would show that it is innate.
Okay, so the point is, okay, when you try to defend your position, the best thing is give your answer in such a way that the other person readily accepts. Yes, there's no third option, right? There's no second option. Yes, yes, I agree your point, right? This is how this, okay, always try to do that, but at times you have to go through, take somebody into very nuanced position. Otherwise, the best thing to do is try to give the very obvious, very direct answer where the other person, there's no choice. Yes, of course, this is the only choice, right? But it's not always the case that these things are there. Okay, so is there anyone who can tell me that the misconception of self as autonomous substance real, and there is the innate part? Okay, the Deveshla, yes?
Gishla, if we interact with anybody who's not influenced by tenets of philosophy, let's say if I go out, a rickshawala, a shopkeeper, when they identify me, they just identify me as something within my advocates. They don't think, or they don't even think where the self is. They'll just say, this is a person and this is a commercial transaction. Let's say I want to buy something. Stick
to one. Stick to one. Don't jump to too many things. Stick to one, right?
Let's say if I go to a shopkeeper.
Yes.
The shopkeeper identifies me.
Yeah.
I go to buy a packet of biscuit.
Yeah.
Right. So it can be very easily induced that that he or she is not thinking in terms of self being different with the advocates. They identify me through the body, the basis, and say this is a person. So this is the innate one, as far as I think that it's innate.
Okay, let's say this is extremely important. Very good that you bring up this. It's extremely important. Now, our job is to keep gathering this information, facts. Keep gathering this information, the facts. For example, like one of the very strong facts about whether or not it has the acquired part is see if there's any philosophical school which accepts this. Then it becomes very clear, no doubt, all the followers, they learned it from this philosophy, so that is acquired, right? So likewise, so now our job is to slowly gather these facts and try to enrich yourself with these facts. Okay, now the point is that, because we are yet to go through all these in great detail, in the Maharashtra universities, they gather the information, these facts, for over 15, 16, 20 years. You're getting it? Now our job is to gather these facts. One, I've already given you, in the monastery, they never teach you that, acquire how to see that, if there's a school which believes in this. They never will teach you like this. I'm giving you, spoon feeding you. You're getting it? This one way. Now the next part is about what Deveshla said, is that when shopkeeper identifies me, shopkeeper identifies with me with my aggregates, my body, and say that you. Okay, does he identify my body to be me? Yes. Or does he identify me through the body? Through the body, and identify the body as the me is different. You're getting it? You're getting it? Identifying, okay, let's see, let me give this example. Say, identifying Tibet House through the Tibet House secretary, and identifying the Tibet House secretary is very different, right? You're getting it? Okay, I see the Tibet House secretary. Okay, now the Tibet House. I'm not saying that secretary is Tibet House, right? or Tibet House. It then reminds the person of the Tibet classes, Tibet people visiting Tibet House and so forth, and identify the Tibet secretary. Nothing to do with Tibet House, nothing to do with the people who come into Tibet House. It's just the secretary directly. So identify Tibet House through the secretary and identifying the secretary. This is different. Likewise, identifying the aggregates to be the person, or identifying the person through the identifying the aggregates. These were different. Now the text, in the text, okay, which text we have to identify? In the text, there's a very clear indication. Identifying the aggregate with the self is never innate. Identifying the aggregate, the body as a self, the mind as a self, is never aggregate, which we will come to learn from the second half of chapter 6 from Acharya Chandrakirti's text. Chapter 6, Selflessness of Person. At the moment we are going through the selfless of phenomena. So establishing a selfless person, identifying the aggregates as self, this is never innate. You're getting it? Okay, so where you may be interested to know this? Okay, Tejala, can you check this? The selfless of phenomena, selfless of person? In the root text.
Yes.
Where is it? Huh?
Page 28.
Page 28. 28, substance of person. Okay. Page 29, refutation of the self as identical to the aggregates. Identifying the aggregates to be the self. You getting it? So this now read there. And Acharya Chandrakirti's style of refutation, you remember? Two, what are the two ways? One, rejecting the position by reasoning, and the other by rejecting the position, saying that this is not even accepted in the convention, meaning that it's not innately accepted. You're getting it? So there, if you go through this, you will see mentioned there. Okay, never mind. So this I'll get it for you. The point is that it is very clearly indicated that the identifying the aggregates as a self is never innate. You getting it? Identifying the
140, verse 140.
140. When selflessness is realized, okay, page 31, 140. When the selflessness is realized is an eternal self that is relinquished, but this self is not considered to be the basis of grasping at an I. In that case, to claim that the knowledge of I don't know. Okay, no. Okay, I will identify this. This is very easy. Then I'll get back to you the what? Sunday, right? Okay. So the point is what? Identifying the aggregates to be the self is never innate. It is always acquired. Don't forget it. You getting it? Okay. Now, what is my main question?
What is how is the identification of autonomous?
Through the mic.
the ignorance pertaining to autonomous substantial reality is...
How is ignorance pertaining to autonomous substantial, misconceiving the self to autonomous substantial reality has the innate element. Innate element. For that matter, I said earlier, right? One very strong point is saying, which is said by the very standard authors like Lama Tsongkhapa, Acharya Chandrakirti, Nagarjuna, of course the Buddha. So very standard. Don't bring don't cite the authors like Geshe Dorjilamji. Don't cite these authors. You're getting it? Or it is said in this book. Don't do like these things. Say the very standard authors which were accepted by the highly the refined scholars in the monastic universities. You getting it? Don't just one book written by Geshe Dorjilamji, in there it says like this. Don't cite these things. You understand what I'm saying? This is just a small example given to imply something else. I don't want to say that, right? To imply something else. Okay. So for that matter, the point is that if you could remember, so earlier, just I think maybe 1 or 2 months ago, we read it. Lama Tsongkhapa's text. It said that the view of the autonomous substantial reality is there innate. Is there innate? This is there in this book. We read it already, right? We read it, the commentary part, not the root text. In the commentary, we read it. So we just pick up those parts from the very authentic, authoritative text. You pick up those parts where you see. Don't forget those parts. If possible, okay. When I'm sharing this story as well to encourage you. When I do my student days, what I used to do is I keep a separate notebook. I keep a separate notebook. You're getting it? Where the important citations, very important citations. For example, citation to say that this autonomous misconception of self to autonomous substantial reality can be innate. This is something which we cannot really find it anywhere very easily. The moment you find it, I note it down in the separate notebook where only the citations are noted with a page number, book, name of the book, page number, and then I cite I note down the 2-3 lines, whatever, right? So this is how I get to and then once in a while I just go through this notebook where I can visit all these important quotations together in just one go. I can get, otherwise we have to read the whole book, whole 4, 5, 6 books, big books. You can just get these most important parts within like half an hour very easily. So this is how I do. Likewise you can do it. You're getting it? Very important points. You keep a separate notebook. Don't mix that up with your, say, the electricity bill. I pay the electricity bill. Don't mix up all these things, right? Keep it separately with respect. With respect. So just note down the textbook, the name of the textbook, and the page number, and the line number, and then if possible in the textbook where it is, you just put a tick mark to say that this is this part. Again, you don't read the whole page. So this is how I used to do during my student days. You're getting it? Okay. So the point is that this is what is said there. Now the point is that the misconception of the self to be autonomous substantial real, this can have both the acquired and innate. Acquired, why? Because there are philosophical schools which believe in the self to be autonomous substantial real, or the mind to be autonomous substantial real. So from there we see that there are people who learn from this, who acquire this view from this philosophy. One. It also has the innate, because Lama Tsongkhapa in his text, he very decisively said it, you quote, a very authoritative teacher. You getting it? And then later on, after studying all these things, you get a very good picture of emptiness and so forth, then you don't have to cite Lama Tsongkhapa. Through your experience, you can say. You getting it? But don't convince other people that through my experience I can say this. Don't say like this. For you, it is your experience. At this moment, too early to say that it's my experience. Don't say this at this moment. At this moment, cite others. Later on, finally, it is the job is not for you to tell others that this is my experience. Finally, it is for you to experience and you to follow the gade, right? For that matter, see, at this stage where we don't have the experience, you cite a very authoritative texts. This is how we grow. We strengthen the information, we strengthen our wisdom through learning, and then this will be the basis for the wisdom through reflection, and then go into the meditation, then you experience it. The moment you experience it, then you may not necessarily you may necessarily have you don't have to cite anyone, right? Okay. Okay, so the now another point that I will share with you as per this question is that, in other words, another thing that I will share with you is that a wrong view, acquired, you don't really have to prove. Innate, you have to prove. Acquired wrong view, very strange wrong views are there, right? People who believe in all strange wrong views. So acquired is, of course, you don't have to debate whether it is acquired, whether there is acquired or not. Acquired is always there with the wrong views, right? Some people say nothing exists. There's also the schools are there. All the strange schools are there. So acquired is there. Innate, whether innate there's no. This is a complication. Whether or not that wrong view has the innate element, that's complication. So the question asked here is, how can we know that there's the acquired, right? Innate, Lama Tsongkhapa said it. Acquired, I give you a clue that there's a school which accepts these things, so we don't really need a citation. It is not necessary we have to go for a citation, right? As long as we have a very strong, position that nobody can deny it, everybody will say that yes, there's no second choice, this is it, right? So the point is, for the acquired, it is very easy. In fact, people don't really debate on this, because acquired something, anybody can say. For example, say, okay, there is, say, 11 dimension. People now talk about 11 dimension, 10 dimension, like this, right? The moment I shared the word, the Newton, he spoke about the 3 dimension. Then Albert Einstein add the 4 dimension of the time. Then today people, Albert Einstein add one more, so we can 8, 11. Some people talk about the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They are not really baseless, but then these thoughts are coming. Okay, if somebody can make 11, I can make 100 dimension, right? So people, they simply want to, they express themselves as something different. So therefore, they can say any wrong views easily. Acquired is not really a point. This is very easy. Innate is difficult to convince that this wrong view has the innate element. For that matter, you need to have a very strong authoritative citation from very standard teachers, right? Authors. Okay, we'll stop here. No, it's already 8:30. The next time. Page 279. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful channels, the Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Karira Gorve Jingamzo, Pandan Dewa Malu Chumbene, Chere Zemba Tenzin Gyatso in, Shabe Zede Padu Tengyurochi. Just as a brave magician summons Bada to realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication. Praise is the best, but the victorious ones thus go on of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Yuzum jebe yawa damjegi mwa khala chodo ma badi agege zawa de gyang sambo jeje rabdo mo baraki May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is the rest and grow, and may the wishes the rest not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanju Sanju Rambo Che Maya Panam Che Java Nyamba Maya Kone Kondo Pemarasho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may two remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain to the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization, the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times, and to the upholder of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect will, the two stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chant Gamada, full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the True Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of Buddha, Dharma, and the beings in the snowland. You are the Lord soul of Tenzin Gyatso. We establish that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. Onye Nyenje Zondo Jobelam, Chejere Selze Kanje Dendugun, Chana Bemo Tenzin Gyatso, Soa Depso Shendo Lundro Sho. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who have admitted through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the path of the truth of the three jewels. You know, Melam Nobe Gewe Demba La Kuwe Najo Sujen Sumed Samjuranyembe Juba Manuba Chosum Dembe Zeni Chuguruji. Never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stations and the paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life.